good morning, everyone. My name is Donna Holmes from HR, and I'm really pleased to see all of you. Thank you so much for supporting our mental health speakers series. So, how are you? It's been 7 months now into this COVID pandemic, and I could tell you that I'm probably experiencing some of the very same issues as you are. You know, I'm really grateful to have work. I'm grateful to be working from home, but at the same time, you know, living, eating, working in my house, it can get a bit boring. I'm obviously missing face-to-face chats with colleagues and my staff, but I'm not missing the commute. And of course, I'm worrying about my kids, about parents, and well, probably like all of you, and to sum up, I've had my ups and downs adjusting to this new reality. So strengthening our mental health during a time of uncertainty, just like we are in now, it's important. And my team really thought we should take time with you today to focus on the positive. So I'm really pleased to introduce Neil Pasricha. He is a happiness expert and a best-selling author of 7 books, including the wildly acclaimed Book of Awesome. He gives about 50 speeches every year, and he focuses on themes that include inspiration, trust, gratitude. He's a really popular TED Talk speaker. You can even find him there. Now, Neil wants to share with us advice on how we can focus on happiness every single day. So a confession, I've met Neil. All I can say is buckle up. We're in for a wonderful hour of positivity, and I'll see you before we leave. Neil?
Donna, thank you. That was so nice.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. Guys, thank you so much for having me here. Thanks for coming. They told me that more people registered for this than like any talk ever. So as someone who's never been popular his whole life, that like makes me feel really good. I'm thrilled to be here and I'm so pumped. Couple things before we get started, just like 2 principles, 2 like ways to do this that make this fun for us. Number 1, the first principle, you probably already guessed it, is interactive. See that chat room? If you haven't seen it, click it open. If you don't know who you're writing to, make sure it says all panelists and attendees. If you just send it to all panelists, then like I'll see it, but everyone won't. So we want you to send it to all panelists and attendees. I want that chat thing going the whole time. If you don't mind, throw 1 word in the chat box right now to describe how you are feeling today. Okay? No right or wrong answer. Never any right or wrong answers in the chat box, ever. Never any right or wrong answers. And other thing is, I want the hard stuff. I want the hard emotions. That's going to make this talk better, right? Like we got to talk about what we're feeling, okay? Sluggish, doing well, discombobulated, anxious, blessed, grateful, tense, overwhelmed, enthusiasm just gave me energy. Thank you. I hear that. Pretty good. Fine. I'm excited for this. Grateful, trapped. Guys, you guys are like, I feel like I'm talking to like Rajat Thesaurus. These words are incredible. Discombobulated, frazzled, overwhelmed. Yes, yes, caffeinated, LOL. I'm actually not caffeinated. I never had a sip of coffee or tea in my life. This is au naturel, baby, and we're gonna go like this. Number 1 is interactive. That's the first principle for today. Keep this thing going. Keep the chat room going. Again, I don't put anyone on the spot. I'm not gonna ask anyone to expand. I'm not gonna ask anyone to stand up and talk in front of the room. It's just a way for you to feel me to feel you, and for you to feel each other. That organ of the chat, keep it going. If I say something you agree with, say yes, hear this, pumped, feeling it, whatever you want, you know? If I say something you disagree with, say, I'm not sure, disagree, I want to ask about this, whatever, like, or like, get a new shirt, buddy. Like, you can't offend me. I want it in the chat room, okay? The second principle that I want to follow today is connected. Connected. What do I mean connected? I mean no slides, no PowerPoints. No me cutting away at a fancy slideshow. It's this. This is what we got. This is what we're doing the whole time. Me staring in the camera, me reading your thing. Deanne says, love the shirt. Lawson says, the shirt is good. Magda says, love the shirt. Amanda says, love your energy. Carlene says, can you come to all of our meetings, please? Navarted says, hashtag shirt game strong. You know what, guys? I've never worn this shirt on a speech before ever. So I usually wear like a white shirt and this thing. And I thought, you know what? I don't know. Feeling like flowers say. I don't know. See if they like it. Thanks. Appreciate it. Great shirt. You are hilarious. Love your energy. Best way to start the day. Thanks, Alexis. Okay. So my first principle is interactive. Remember what I said my second principle was? connected. No slides. I'm going to instead hold up pieces of paper. Yeah, super cool, really fancy technology. I'm going to hold up pieces of paper. And then I have this camera that actually focuses them after 2 seconds. So I'm going to hold them up. This one, take a screenshot of this one, guys. If you're on a MacBook, Command-Shift-4. If you're on a PC, all print screen. Take a screenshot. Why? Because this is my name. And in the middle of this, you're going to be like, who is this guy? Like, who is this guy? That's my website. The third thing down is like my social media handle. I absolutely hate social media, and I am totally addicted to social media, okay? And then the bottom one's my personal email address. I always give my personal email address out because I just feel like if you're listening to this, you gave me your time, and the least I can do is give you mine. So if you have a question today that doesn't get answered, all right, I'm going to aim to answer some questions, but if you don't get your question answered, then you can just email me, and then I'll just write you back. I'm a normal person, so you email me, I'll reply, okay? That's the deal. Again, that's who I am, and that's how I'm going to keep things connected. No PowerPoints, we're just going to use stuff like that. Cool. Now, how are we going to structure this time? Jacob says, I feel fine. Patant says, you're making me smile. It's your new speech shirt, says Brisbury. Did you get it in Hawaii? Never been to Hawaii, Falconer. Love the name Falconer, by the way. I'm picturing someone with like a hand and like a huge bird like lands on it. That's like my dream job. All right, we'll get to that. So, yeah, I'm super into birding all of a sudden. So here's what we're going to do. Couple minutes on me, my background. I'm going to go super quick. If you want the long version, like type my name into TED.com. The TED Talk, there's an 18-minute thing where all I do is talk about myself. So if you want the 18-minute version, you can watch that. I'm going to give you like a 2-minute version today, real quick. You can go into deeper if you want. But I don't want to spend too much time because I want to actually give you guys stuff today. I want to give you 3 models. Look at the focus. Ready? Want to see my fingers up close? There it is. There's my fingers. You can see how wrinkly they are. And then after that, we're going to do Q&A. Cool? It's all about resilience, all about mental health, all about happiness. How do you get this thing going up top every day? The stuff I should give you is simple, stuff you can do at home, with your partner, with your boyfriend, with your girlfriend, with your dinner table, with your kids, whatever. And if you do anything that I tell you today, even one thing, that means it was a win for you. That was a good use of your time. I'm going to give you lots of stuff. I don't expect you to do all of it. The goal here today is not to be perfect. The goal is just to be a little better than before. Okay? I hear discombobulated, anxious, frazzled, stressed, alone, cold. I hear you. You just told me all those words. I hear you. So let me give you something to warm you up. That's what I'm going to do today. Are you sure you haven't had coffee? You don't want to see me on coffee, honestly. I don't drink coffee. Never had a coffee in my life. But I get excited by energy. I'm an extrovert. So when I see 505 participants logging in, they tell me I'm popular and they send me texts and messages saying I'm they like my shirt. That gives me energy. So I get energy from you. I'm like in quarantine, baby. This is my house. Okay? So this gives me energy. You're helping me feel good. Thank you. So how do I start? 10 years ago, I start with the worst year of my life. My wife leaves me. My best friend kills himself. This happens in the span of 3 days. I'm not joking. I drive home from work. I'm working out at Walmart. My wife's crying on the front porch. She looks me in the eye. She's like, Neil, I want a divorce. 3 days later, my best friend, Chris, takes his own life. He had attempted suicide a year before. I knew his doctors. I knew his medicines. I knew his psychiatrist. Did not prevent it from happening. I felt terrible about it. His sister called me at work the next morning to tell me, Chris is gone. And anyone out there watching this right now that's lost a friend or a family member from a suicide, you know there's no words to describe this feeling. We need to be talking about suicide more in this country. We do. You know, murder rate in Canada is 6 out of 100,000. Suicide rate is 12 out of 100,000. Do the math, guys. We're twice as dangerous to ourselves as anyone else is to us. Now I'm getting a divorce. My wife's leaving me. I'm selling a house. I'm a disaster. I lose 50 pounds due to stress. And I go home one night, I'm like, how do I cheer myself up? Yes, I got this energy, but I don't always feel this way. How do I cheer myself up? You know what I do? I start a blog called 1000awesomethings.com. I start writing it every day for 1,000 straight days. It turns into a book called The Book of Awesome. You don't got to buy it. Just go to this website, 1000awesomethings.com, and this is the book. The book is just the website stapled together. The book comes out, takes off, hits #1, blah, 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 sells lots of copies. Everyone thinks he's happy. He figured it all out. No, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going on all the TV shows and stuff. They're all saying, how do you be happy, Mr. Awesome Man? I'm like, I don't know. My wife left me and my best friend killed himself. I'm just trying to cheer myself up. That's it. I got no good answers. I lost 50 pounds due to stress, got black bags under my eyes. I'm putting makeup on under my eyes because I'm embarrassed to go to Walmart with looking like I haven't slept because I haven't slept. Then I moved downtown Toronto, get a tiny shoebox apartment, 500 square feet. It takes me a year to go on online dating sites, a year to make my confidence go from 0 to 0.1. And then for another year, guess what? I meet a lot of people I like, and none of them like me back. Then 2 years later, I finally meet someone who likes me and who I like. And her name is Leslie. She's a public school teacher in the TDSB, teaching downtown inner city school. And she falls in love with me. I fall in love with her. We get married. Okay, I'm on round 2 here, people. We get married. We go on a honeymoon. And on the flight home from our honeymoon, she's sick. She ain't feeling well. We're in a 6-hour layover in Malaysia. She runs to an airport pharmacy. She finds a place to lie down. We get on a 12-hour flight home. She goes to the tiny airplane bathroom at the front of the airplane. She comes back to our seats. And you know what she says to me? Anyone want to guess? Anyone want to guess? What'd she say to me? Second time is a child. Prego, says Matt. Pregnant. Okay, you guys, have you heard this before? I'm pregnant is correct. I want a divorce. Eggman, thank goodness you were wrong. Eaton, you're going to be a daddy. Well, actually, you said you're going to a daddy, which is something totally different. But she's pregnant. She bought the pregnancy test in the Malaysia airport pharmacy. She did the pregnancy test at the front of the airplane. She walks back to our seat, and guess what? Boom, she's pregnant. I come home to Toronto. I spend 9 months writing 300 pages of how to be happy for my unborn kid. Guys, that was published as a book. That letter I wrote to my unborn kid. It's called The Happiness Equation. Boom, there it is right there. That's the book. Now, that's a few years ago. You know what happened last year? I'm anxious. Anxious. Always anxious. I'm worried about this, thin skin. You think I'm successful? You think I'm successful? Then why am I staying up late worrying about everything every night? How come I'm tossing and turning every night? How come my wife is stressed too? How come my kid, who's getting a bit older, is stressed too? I look it up. You know what? We're all anxious. Cell phones are terrible. Cell phones are horrible. The news is horrible. Media is horrible. Well, no wonder we're living in anxiety. The world is telling us to be anxious. So I read a new book, comes out last year. It's called You Are Awesome. Yes, that's a note to myself. Look at the subheadline, guys. I want you to know this. How to navigate change, wrestle with failure, and live an intentional life. I wrote in the introduction of this book, there's no more pandemics, no more plagues, no reason to be worried. We all got thin skin. This book came out in November 2019. I did not know there would be a pandemic and a plague a few months later, but now there is one. And lots of people like you guys are calling me up saying, well, what was in that book again? Like, what? We can't get 800 people to read it. Why don't you just come on for an hour and tell us what's in it? Okay, I'll tell you what's in it. You know what? I won't even just tell you what's in that book. I will give you the one cue card summary of all 3 of these books. You know what I'm saying? I will give you the one cue card summary of 3 books. You ready? Here's the one cue card summary. Carlene, I need to read all these books. Social media is a bad drug. More you get, more you want, emptier you get. That's right. Truth. LOL, says Nick, you need God in your life to survive with all these chaos happening around us. I do not personally ascribe to our particular faith. My parents are born Hindu. At the same time, I totally respect that. Everyone needs their own thing, right? We got to figure out what works for us. Okay, here's the one cue card summary of all 3 books, guys. You ready? This is what we think. We think when we're kids that this is true. This is what our parents tell us. They say, oh, you got to do great work. Then you'll have a big success. Oh, and then you'll be happy. Come on, study really hard. Then you'll get good grades. And if you're Indian, you'll be a doctor. Am I right? Who's heard that before? Or if you work really hard, then you'll get promoted and then you're happy. Not only do our parents lie and tell us this, we lie and tell it to our kids too, right? Come on, we want you to get into good school. Come on, we want you to get a good job. Come on, we want you to be happy. But the biggest takeaway I can tell you today is that this model is busted. It's broken. It doesn't work. Ready for a screenshot? Take a picture of this one. This is the way it really works. You got to be happy first. Then you do great work. Studies say you're 31% more productive, 37% higher sales, and 300% more creative when you're happy. And the big success follows. What kind of success? Career success and life success. You're living 10 years longer. According to the University of Kentucky, the nun study, they looked at nuns in convents in the 30s and 40s, same gender, same religion, same food, same place that they were living. In the 2000s, the ones that were happy coming in, based on their autobiographies, lived an average of 10 years longer. You can look it up. It's called the Nun Study. Again, biggest takeaway, 3 books and 1 cue card. This model is busted. It's broken. We think it goes like this. Great work, big success, be happy. But it doesn't. Your parents lied. Instead, it goes like this. You got to be happy first, everybody. Then the great work and the big success follows. All right. Philem, so simple, says Rebecca. Great point, says Dalveer. Hashtag very true, says Liag. 100% agree, says Wangi. Flip it back, please. LOL, says Gerald. They're recording this. I see the little red button. They're recording this. If you want to grab stuff later, they'll show it to you. Don't worry. But you want it again? Okay. Don't take a screenshot of this. This model's busted. It's broken. Take one of this. Here's the fixed one. I'll hold it for 5 seconds for you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There you go. So how do you be happy in the morning? How do you wake up in a good mood? What's the whole point? How do you do it? You wake up, you guys, you saw the same words I did. Discombobulated, frazzled, stressed, cold, overwhelmed, anxious. These are your words. And I would be lying if I said I didn't feel the same thing all the time. I'd feel those things too. But I got a few systems and a few tools that help me, and they help me. Today, good example. Kids waking me up all night, wake up screaming babies. Yeah, I got to do my tricks. I got to take my own advice. First trick is this one. Here's the first tool of the day, guys. 2-minute mornings. Put a yes in the chat room right now if you sleep within 10 feet of your cell phone. Watch the chat room. Put a yes in the chat room right now if you sleep within 10 feet of your cell phone. Look at the chat room. Put a yes in the chat room right now if you sleep within 10 feet of your cell phone. See what I'm saying? What you think that is? 98%? 98% or so? CBC Power and Politics just had me on TV, and they said, Neil, what is the biggest problem in Canada? And I went on the air knowing what's going on in the world and how messy things are. And I said, it's cell phone addiction. That, I believe, is the biggest party. You type in my name. Someone, can you do me a favor? Type in Neil Pasricha, CBC Power into Politics. Someone throw the YouTube link in the chat room if you don't mind. Then other people can grab it and they can save it, watch it later. It's me going on an 8-minute rant. I'm not going to do it right now. 8-minute rant I go on with all the studies, all the research, all the proof points about cell phones and what they're doing to us. I don't got time to do that right now, but you guys grab that link, okay? And then you guys can watch it later. Here's a problem. You check your phone right before bed, right? We all do. You sleep within 10 feet of it, right? Most people do. 98%, you saw the yeses. And then you check it first thing in the morning. We don't seem to think that's a problem. But if you drank a bottle of wine before bed every night, slept within 10 feet of a bottle of wine, and woke up and glug, glug, glug from a bottle of wine in the morning, what would we call you? What would we call you? What would we call you guys? Throw it in the comments. Alcoholic, addict, sick, a wino, drunk. Guys, we're phoneaholics now, and we don't even notice it. First piece of advice. Put your phone on airplane mode and move your charger to the basement, to the extra bedroom, to the garage, to the kitchen. It doesn't matter where your phone is, it matters where the charger is. That's where your phone lives. So move your phone's house somewhere away from your bedroom. Oh, Neil, it's my alarm clock. Buy an alarm clock. They're $10 at Walmart. You can go to Amazon. You go to Dollarama. Okay? Buy yourself an alarm clock. When you spend that $5 or $10, you know what you're buying? A good night's sleep. And when you wake up in the morning, I don't want you to look at your phone. I don't care what Trump tweeted. I want you to do 2-minute mornings. I want you to grab a pen, a real pen, like an actual thing that you write with. I want you to grab a piece of paper, and I want you to write down these 3 things. I will let go of. I am grateful for. I will focus on. I will let go of how much screen time my kids are getting. I will let go of the fact that I forgot to scrub that watermelon that might have COVID on it. I will let go of mom guilt right now. I'm supposed to be working, but I'm not carrying my kids. I'm trying to carry my kids. I can't really work. I will let go of survivor guilt. I got a job. I'm employed. You know how many people in my life aren't? You know how bad I feel when I walk by all the tents in the park right now? Park near my house, full of tents. Didn't used to be. Survivor guilt. I will let go of. Write down in the comments right now one thing you will let go of, because I'll tell you as you guys do that. So put something in the comments. You guys can read each other's. Science Magazine shows that when we do this practice of letting go of something, thinking about it, writing it down, you actually extricate it from your brain. I'm not kidding. You stop thinking about it, and you know what? You live life with more contentment. We used to have this in Catholicism. Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. Catholic confession chamber. If you are Catholic, if you go to Catholic confession chamber, awesome. You have a form of confession built in to your religious practice. It's not just Catholicism, Buddhism, Mormonism, Islam, Judaism. Most world religions have a form of confession. But you know what the fastest growing religion is in the world right now? No religion, according to National Geographic. So in this increasingly secular society, we need a place to put the things that we're sweating, that we're thinking about. And I'm telling you, the place is a cue card beside your bed when you get up in the morning. I will let go of. I will let go of negative energy. I will let go of resentment. Put something specific. Okay, Diane, good question. How can you let go of it if you're constantly thinking about it? No, it's the opposite, Diane. Here's what the research says. It's from Science Magazine, Dr. Brasson and colleagues. The study, if you want to look it up, is called Don't Look Back in Anger. The researchers show that if you don't write it down, here's where it sits all day, Diane. It sits right here. You're thinking right here, okay? Oh, I forgot to wear a mask in the store. Oh, I'm thinking about it all day, all day. But if you think about it, you process it, you write it down. The research shows it goes from here to here. You stop thinking about it. It goes to the back of your brain, and you can keep functioning, okay? It's like pulling a weed out when you write it down. Yes, good Oasis tune. My first concert, Andrew. The anxiety that my kids' lunches are not good enough, says Aaron. Fantastic. Trying to get it all done immediately, Tom. Who can agree with that? I will let go of all the screen time that's happening. Yes. I will let go of, Lisa says, need to be a better and more available child to my aging parents. I'm feeling that too. My parents are in their 70s. And I'm like, am I visiting them enough? And even if I visit them, am I sitting in their backyard? Like, their TV was busted. I couldn't help them move it. Like, simple stuff. I'm like, I can't, and they're in their 70s, never mind in their 80s, 90s, 100, you know what I'm saying? Like, you might have parents that you can't even visit right now. Weight gain. Yeah. Who else hears Leslie? Who else feels that? You know what? I'm eating like a bag of chips every 3 days. I used to eat a bag of chips a month. I'm like every week, I'm like, I got a new flavor. I was an all dressed guy. Now I'm salt and vinegar. Like, I'm all about chips. I can't stop eating chips. COVID-15, COVID-19, Dairy Queen's too close to home. I'm totally down with Leslie. Yay, Leslie and chips. Guys, I will let go of. First thing. Next thing you write down. You ready? Now you got that thing out of your brain. Next thing is I want to put some good stuff in it. I am grateful for. The research says that all you got to do is write down 10 things you're grateful for a week, not a day, a week, in order to be happier and physically healthier. This research comes from Emmons and McCullough, amazing, amazing researchers down in Pennsylvania. So, see this one, and I'm just going to use that as an example. I see a lot of people saying my family, my health, my job. That's not right. I'm not trashing your ideas. What I'm saying is the research says it has to be specific, okay? So if you write down my hubby, my kid, and my dog, that makes you feel like this good, okay? But if you write down, when my husband Rodriguez put the toilet seat down, when my 3-year-old son Pascal gave me a painting he did at school, when my golden retriever Trooper learned how to shake a paw, hear the difference? They're specific, and then you feel it like this much. Your brain's full of neural pathways. More neurons in your brain than there are stars in the entire universe. You don't know how it works. I'll tell you how it works. You have to teach your brain to think about the positive, because your brain, and I'm not going to speculate in WSIB, but I have a feeling a lot of what work you're doing is around negativity, right? It's the nature of the job. People putting in claims, people asking. There's just the nature of the work. And not just you guys. Insurance is kind of like this. Financial services is kind of like this. Bankers, I talk to bankers, it's kind of like this. They're looking at the stock market, looking for problems. Doctors kind of like this. A lot of jobs these days looking for problems. It's the orientation of the job. This is why we rubberneck on the highway, guys. This is why we read the bad news. This is why if it bleeds, it leads. This is why if you get a health test back from your doctor, you want to see the high cholesterol. You get a math test back from your teacher. Guys, flash back to grade 5. You get a math test back. What do you look at? The 99 things you got right or the one thing you got wrong? We're all the same. 200,000 years of evolution makes this thing awesome at finding problems. You know what it sucks at? Finding good stuff. You got to practice every morning. You work out this muscle. Anyone? You're at the gym? Work out this muscle. Here's how you do it. Write down a few things you are grateful for every single day. Agree, says Anu. Totally legit, says Nikki. When I hear my farm horses neigh in the morning, says Lexox. Appreciate that. My aging mother's helping me co-parent, says Aline. So true, says Sean. When my nephews ask me to hang out because they like me, says Andrew. That's awesome. I like that. When my puppy takes a nap, says Lisa. Hosting a dinner for my family and serving them. They are queens and kings, says Magda. When my daughter didn't cry this morning at school drop-off. Amen. I felt that too today. They're coming so fast that it's hard for me to keep up. But I'm trying my best to keep up, okay? I was like, 1 new message, 10 new messages, 10 new messages. Okay. Okay, I just threw a test in there just so I could get that thing scrolling back to the bottom. Now, guys, throw one thing you are grateful for in the comments, but don't do it right quickly. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to actually think about something specific to you. What I want you to feel is what it feels like to read everybody else's. But let me give you 5 seconds. Read this chat transcript as it's happening. Look how good these are. Look how good you feel. This is the practice of avoiding CNN, people. This is the practice of what your brain really wants to think about. It's hard to get out of the shellac, the lacquer, the negativity, the news, media, yuck, negativity, yuck. This is the real stuff in the chat room. This is what we're all about. This is what human beings are from. It's what we need. It's how we talk to each other. It's how we think. Ignore the stuff trying to tell you something different. Ignore it. You don't need the news every day. Wear a mask. You got it? There you go. There's the news. Wear a mask. There you go. There's the news. Here's what you need. Positivity. Okay? This is what you need. I put my social media up here at the beginning. Remember I said I'm addicted, but I didn't want to be. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Why do I put that? Because I'm posting 1 gratitude a day on here for 1,000 days during the pandemic. I've done about 200 so far. If you're on Instagram or whatever, just follow me. You get 1 every day, and you can people write back their own. But just a great way to keep doing it. Why am I doing that? I'm just doing that because it makes me do it. Okay. Third and final thing is I will focus on overwhelmed, stressed, busy, anxious. All the research is saying that productivity is up while working at home. You know, these companies saying, oh, we're going to work at home permanently. Productivity's up. Why? Because you're working all the time, right? You're sleeping beside your work, okay? No wonder you're working a lot. But here's what I want you to do. Every morning, you write down something you will focus on. One thing. I'll focus on calling Rogers and getting faster internet. Focus on finally writing back to that email that's been sitting in my inbox for 7 days that I have not replied to. I know I need to. Okay? I will focus on these 3 things. Remember, guys, it only takes 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's it. You know how many minutes you're awake for a day? How many minutes do you awake for? Anyone guess? 1,000. That's the research. Average person's awake for 1,000 minutes a day. So what I'm telling you to do is take 2 minutes of them, in order to prime your brain for positivity every day. Now, checking the time, 11:34. Let me take 10 more minutes, and then we'll do 50 minutes of questions, okay? I said I wanted to give you 3 tools today. I only gave you 1. First one is 2-minute mornings. Get rid of the phone. Start your day with the 2-minute mornings. This is awesome, says Miss B. Yeah, I feel that way too. I'm having a good time. The chat room is like, just gives me life. It gives me life. You are great. Thank you very much. Number 2, here's the second thing I want you to do. Have a weird hobby. Andrew, thanks for the shout out. Have a weird hobby. Have a weird hobby. Okay. In 2 weeks from now, I'm going on a road trip with a buddy to camp in a tent, socially distanced. We're going to do 2 tents, we think, or maybe 2 hotels. We'll figure it out. We're going to drive 4 hours down to like Point Pelee or wherever that is. And we're going to like hope we see eagles, like bald eagles, right? Or like warblers or rose-breasted grosbeaks. If I'm speaking a language you understand, that's because I'm suddenly into bird watching. Yes, it's kind of a cliche in the pandemic, but that's my weird hobby right now. I'm buying bird books. I got binoculars. I got the Merlin app. Here, I'm going to put that in. Merlin ID app. I just put it in the chat room. Merlin app. Guys, download this thing. It changes your life. It changes your life. Anytime you see a bird in your backyard, you're like, what is that thing? You click the button. It's free. You just like check and tells you what bird it is. Awesome. Okay? I'm into birding. What's my weird hobby? Put your weird hobby in the chat room. While you do that, and while you read everyone else's, listen to me. Nobel Prize winners are 22 times more likely than their scientific peers to have a weird hobby. They're blowing glass. They're playing Horatio in the town play. They're doing balloon animals at birthday parties. I did not make up those 3 examples. They're legit examples from the study. Let me say it again. Nobel Prize winners are 22 times more likely than their peers to have a strange, weird, or unusual hobby outside of their comfort zone. Okay, why? Tell you why. Because your learning rate is the steepest when you know the least. It's a pandemic. If it's Groundhog Day, you're in the same place. You don't get to walk around, stroll, see people in the offices, hang on someone's hallway, have a mentorship chat, go out for fresh air, have a run. You're missing all that. So what you need to do is have a weird hobby. Why? Otherwise, you suffer from something that the researchers call cognitive entrenchment, which is what happens when you do one thing over and over again. Bust out of that. I don't want you to get cognitive entrenchment. I don't want you to be in your 50s or 60s or 70s working and thinking like, I don't know how to do anything new. I don't want you to be thinking that. What I want you to do is have a weird hobby. Because when you have a weird hobby, you actually, it's been proven, apply the incongruent thoughts or ideas that you have in the weird hobby back to your regular discipline. So it makes you a better employee too. Makes you a better mom too. Makes you a better dad too, right? You think of other things because your brain is going sideways instead of straight. I'm becoming a ninja, says Duncan. I'm painting, says Kareen. Smithlow is growing garlic. Beggs is doing jumble words. I'm studying birds and plants more. What is your weird hobby? Throw it in. Define weird. Okay, I will define weird, Anthony. It is something that you have never done before that when you start, you suck at. So yes, I'm using the word weird to just be a little bit provocative. As John Lennon said, it's weird not to be weird. I love weird. I am weird. Weird's good. But the way I'm defining it for the sake of this, and you asked me, is it's something you've never done before that when you start at it, you suck. What I want you to do is experience sucking at things, okay? That's where your learning rate is the steepest. That's where you're getting real far out of your comfort zone. You never picked up an instrument? Grab a ukulele. Honestly, they're like $30 on Amazon. A ukulele. Go to YouTube. Type in how to learn a ukulele. 10 minutes later, you'll be playing Imagine, baby. Tell them you can do it. Golfing, worm composting. You know what? I gave a speech like this yesterday, Jackie, and I heard worm composting for somebody else. Starting a YouTube channel. Tennis, I suck. Jogging is my weird activity, and yes, I felt weird when I started. Thank you, Flamio, because you know what? That's a great point. It doesn't have to be weird to other people. If it's new to you, it's what that counts, okay? Cool. Jogging is kind of new for me, too. Playing pig/horse. I do not know what that is, Michelle. Pig/horse. Okay. I'm picturing like the basketball game where, you do a layup and the other person has to do a layup after you. Jackie killed all the worms first. Singing to my husband. Gardening in my balcony, says Galaxy. Keeping my houseplants alive. Right. Sam is learning German. Persuade is, I sucks at incantations, but it's super fun. Michelle, basketball. See, look, this is what I'm talking about. This is great. Third and final thing on my list of 3 tools today is go untouchable. I'm going to hold this one up here for 5 seconds. If you haven't taken a screenshot of anything so far, then take a screenshot of this. Because next week or a month from now, when you are, like me, like everyone, having a bad day, what I want you to do is check out that screenshot on your desktop and be like, oh, 2-minute warnings, right? Oh, yeah. I will let go of, I'm grateful for, I will focus on. Oh, yeah. Oh, by the way, on 2-minute warnings, then have a weird hobby, and going untouchable. Okay, I'm gonna hold that up here. Take a screenshot of this one. 2-minute mornings. I forgot to tell you guys. I actually turned that into a little book called, yeah, no surprise, 2-minute mornings. You don't need to buy it. Just use cue cards, just like I told you. But inside, this is just literally the same 3 questions over and over again. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Now, that's the first time I've ever like stood up in the middle of a speech. I don't know if it works or not. I'm like kind of wary of turning around to the audience. I don't know if I should like do that or not, but you can let me know in the comments. Thrift store shopping. Magda, thanks for keeping me on track. Going untouchable, please explain. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Magda. Here's what I'm going to tell you, Magda, is at least you're wearing pants, says Duncan. LOL, you are so funny. Thank you. Okay, going untouchable. We already talked about how cell phones are poison. Yeah, I know we need them. Yeah, I know. They keep in touch with our kids. Yeah, I know. I have one too. But we talked about how they're terrible for us. And you've seen the link in here with me on CBC Power and Politics, where I go on an 8-minute rant with all the data, all the research, all the proof points on what we should be doing about cell phones. Okay? So you want me to go on an 8-minute rant? You can look that up. Neil Pasricha, Power and Politics. But what you need to do at the end of the night is go untouchable for 1 hour. What's untouchable? No one can reach you. No one. No one can reach you. The news can't reach you. Twitter can't reach you. People can't reach you. I want you to have a 1 hour at least cool down period before you go to bed. There's research out of Australia that shows that if you look at a bright screen before bed within the last hour, you don't produce as much melatonin. That's the sleep hormone, guys. You don't sleep. So then what do you do the next morning? Look at your phone because you have no resilience. So the hour before bed is sacred time. I don't care what time you go to bed. If you go to bed at 8, great. If you go to bed at 10, great. If you go to bed at 12, great. If you go to bed at 4 in the morning, great. I don't care what time you go to bed. What I care about is that the last hour before you go to bed, you are untouchable, unreachable, ungettable. Your phone is off completely somewhere else. Okay, and by the way, it does feel good when you turn the phone off. Hit the little side thing and it really goes off. The screen actually dies. That feels powerful. It's like, I'm the boss of you, phone. You're not the boss of me. Otherwise, the thing never turns off, ever, in days, right? So turn that thing off. Get rid of it. Then, what do I want you to do in that last hour of the day? Well, first of all, you'll have your own regimen, okay? I want it to be something you look forward to. For me, my wife and I will floss together, maybe a shower, maybe some push-ups. You know what I'm saying? You can have your own thing. But what I want you to make sure you do in that hour is I want you to read 20 pages of fiction from a real book. I want you to read 20 pages of fiction from a real book. 2011 Annual Review of Psychology shows that reading fiction, not nonfiction, fiction, fake. Fiction is fake. I tell my kids, fiction is fake. Fiction, stories, not the stuff I've written back there. I'm not advertising my own stuff. I'm saying read fiction. This is a book I read recently. I really liked it. It's called Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng. Yes, this is a TV show now, so everyone's heard of it, but it's just a great book. This is another book I read recently. It's called 9 Stories by J.D. Salinger. If you like Catcher in the Rye, you'll love this. It's all his New Yorker articles from the 50s. I have a book club, and I wrote an article about this. So if you want, if someone can look it up, send in the links. I wrote an article for Harvard Business Review called 8 Ways to Read a Lot More Books This Year. Okay, it became the most viral article on harvardbusinessreview.org for all of 2017. I tell the story about how I went from reading 5 books a year to reading 50 books a year in 1 year. Just the little systematic changes I put into my life. Article went viral because everyone wants to read more. And then I started a podcast all about it. I call it 3 Books. This is the website, 3books.co. I interviewed Judy Blume, Malcolm Gladwell, David Sedaris. I interviewed people like that, and I asked them which 3 books most changed your life. It's a way for me to learn what books I should be reading. I do this with no ads, no sponsors, no promotions, no interruptions, no commercials. I hate podcast ads, personally. I just can't. You fast forward the first 12 minutes of the podcast. I don't care about MeUndies, okay? I don't do that. My whole thing is I want to learn to read better. And so I'm spending 15 years of my life making this podcast called 3 Books. Literally what I'm doing right after this speech is an interview with Brandon Stanton of Humans of New York. That's what I'm doing right after this, because he's got a new book coming out. If you know Humans of New York, that'll be the next podcast I release. Okay, so I do that, and I do the speaking, and I do the writing. This is kind of my life right now. Going untouchable means you spend an hour to yourself every night before bed. Most important, no screens. Second most important, introduce books. Yes, it needs to be a real book on real pages. Sorry, I'm sorry if you like to read on an iPad, but I can't recommend that. I'm sorry. I can't. Oprah recommends reading on an iPad. Oprah's getting paid $50 million from Apple. No wonder she's recommending that. The research I've seen says if you read on a device where you can do anything else, guess what? You will. If you read on a device where you can do anything else, you will. So read on a device where you can't do anything else. Sure. If you have a Kindle and it's like black and white and there's no lights and it's not a screen and there's no multitasking, okay, maybe you figure out a system. But I'm going to go on the record and recommend real books on real pages. It also is a way to rest your eyes after looking at 11 hours of screens each day, which is the actual number we're looking at screens a day today. Not just cell phones, screens, 11 hours. Think about that, 11 hours. Oh my God. Thank you, says Murphy. All I read is fiction. Ouch, says Turo. People are recommending books. Fantastic. Yes. Does it count for audiobooks? Yeah, it counts. I love your podcast. Thank you. Okay, listen. Here's the thing about audiobooks. The research on reading shows that when you read, the reason it's so good for your brain is because you're the director. You're picturing the characters. You're picturing what they look like. You're picturing what they sound like. You picture the room. You picture the costumes. That's on you. When you read Big Little Lies by Leanne Moriarty, I saw someone write it in there. That's on you. When you watch Big Little Lies, and I'm not saying that's a problem. I've done that too. It's a good show. But someone else is the director. Someone else picks the characters, what they look like, what they wear, what it sounds like. So then you just get to be passive. You're mowing potato chips watching that. When you're reading, you're making it. Okay, that's why they do MRI scans at MRI University. It shows that reading fiction opens up more of your brain. Empathy, compassion, understanding, EQ skills. Guys, I was the director of leadership at Walmart for 10 years. You know what I was supposed to be doing? Telling leaders how to get to be better leaders. How do directors become vice presidents? How do vice presidents become executives? I'll tell you the solution right now for leadership. Read books. When you read books, you're immersing yourself in another conscience. You are a different gender. You are a different religion. You are a different time period. And you'll feel lucky. Yeah, you're in a pandemic, but you're in Toronto. You're in Canada. You're alive right now. You'll feel lucky because I guarantee you what's going on in the books is way worse than what's going on in your life. Honestly, that's pretty much the case for most fiction. Truth, says Magda. Truth. Yeah, audiobooks are okay, Berna, but someone is the director of the sound, right? So it's just a little bit less good than reading, but it's still way better than watching TV. Summary time. The goal is not to be perfect. The goal is to be better than before. Could you do one of these three things? If you can, then write it in the comments what you're committed to. I will do 2-minute mornings. Write that out. Write it out. Commit to it. Put it in writing. Put it in the chat transcript. I will start a weird hobby. I will promise I will go untouchable. I need to plug my phone into the basement. Someone put something in there. You know why? Because if you see someone's name that you know, you're like, oh, there's McHugh and Jay. Oh, there's Russo. Oh, there's Jun. Oh, there's Brewsty. Then you can hold them accountable. You can be like, oh yeah, okay, Cynthia, you said you're going to do 2-minute mornings. Well, are you? How's it going, Cynthia? You said you're going to do it. Commitment is a way to get things done. When I go back into companies, I say, did you do the stuff I told you? You know who does it? The ones that said they were gonna. So if I'm in a live audience and say, put up your hand and say you're gonna do it, and then I give that person a book. Why? I don't want to put people on the spot. It's because commitment is a difference maker. What are you gonna commit to now? Patant says, you got me pumped. You got me pumped too, Patant. Appreciate it. Weird hobby, says John. Be specific, Johnny. What weird hobby? Love your energy, making me smile. I'm going to learn Latin, says Janine. Love it. You can help translate some Seneca for me after. Glad I watched you. Yeah, this is fun. Now, I got lots more to say, in case you couldn't tell. If this thing was 5 hours long, we'd go 5 hours. But to respect your time, we got 12 minutes. And so now we're going to do questions. There's a Q&A button at the bottom. Click that button. Ask me a question. Ask me anything. It's like a Reddit AMA. Nothing's off limits. Thank you for this opportunity as a question. So go click that. See how we're in the chat room? I love that. That thing's going to keep scrolling, but it's going to be too hard for me to see questions in there because it goes so fast. So when you have a question right now, what I want you to do is click the Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom thing. And then what you do is you ask a question in there, and then I'll see it. Okay? So I'll start reading stuff I see, and then I'll start reading it. Okay. Lisa, I want more. Your energy's building me up. Lisa, I'm around, like, use the stuff I sold you guys, right? Like, you got my podcast. I got a YouTube channel. You want to hear me yell at you for longer? Go to my YouTube channel. There I am. Let's see here. How do you find a weird hobby? I feel like anything I start is dumb. The issue here isn't your inability to find a weird hobby. The issue here is your thinking that you're dumb. That is your issue, okay? The issue is not your inability to find a weird hobby. The issue is your self-confidence. Self-confidence is a measure of how much you believe in yourself and how much you believe in others, okay? If you believe just in others but not yourself, you're insecure. If you believe just in yourself but not in others, you're arrogant. In order to be confident, you have to believe both. I have a whole chapter about in the happiness equation. Why am I writing about how to increase confidence and happiness? Because I believe confidence does help lead to happiness, and because I was very low confidence my entire life. Skinny Indian kid in Oshawa, no brown people anywhere around. Surgery when I was 6 weeks old, lost a testicle when I was 6 weeks old, grew up thinking I was completely deformed. I got scars up my stomach. This is stuff I've written about in my book, so I'm not oversharing. It's just in my books. Get glasses when I'm super young, thick Coke bottle glasses. I can't see when they fall off. They fall off all the time. This is my life. So if you think I got confident, I'll tell you how to do it. Again, you think you suck and everyone sucks, that's cynical. You think you're awesome. Advice for being anxious about leaving your phone at night. Christy, I hear you. What if there's an emergency, you're not available? Okay, I had the same worry, so did my wife. So we looked into it. Here's the thing. Nobody has landlines anymore. You know how much your cell phone costs a month? Like what, $100? How much does a landline cost a month? Well, Bell and Rogers are desperate to sell you one because no one has one. So they're like $20. And you don't got to put little features on it. You don't got to do call waiting, call display, nothing. Get a landline. Although it sounds bizarre to recommend that, two things are better about landlines. Number one, first of all, if you call 911, if there really is an emergency, they know where you live. With cell phones, they don't. Okay, so they know where you live. They can tell your address because it's wired into the system. Number two, you give your landline number, which, by the way, you can keep a landline phone in your bedroom. We have one in our bedroom. You give the landline number to everyone you care about, your friends, your family, your emergency contacts, whatever. And you say, call me. What we say to our friends and family is call us twice in the middle of the night. Yes, we leave our ringer on. What? Well, telemarketers don't call at night. They aren't allowed to. So you don't get any like weird calls with people trying to sell you scams at midnight. You just don't. It never happens. They're not allowed to. It's illegal. So we have a phone, a cordless phone in our room. It's our landline. And you know what I'm paying $20 a month for? I'm paying for permission not to worry about it. That's what I'm paying for. Because I know if there really is an emergency, they'll call my landline. There you go, Christy. That's the answer. Any comments on social media addiction, or is that all connected to your comments on cell phone addiction? Audrey, social media is a plague. It's a plague. Facebook is designed to have you look at Facebook as long as possible to feed you as many ads as possible. That is their public business model. I just put it in my own words. Twitter, Instagram, they're all the same. Again, let me say the business model one more time. And this is the same as the news media business model today. Get you to look at them as long as possible to feed you as many ads as possible. Left wing, right wing, doesn't matter. If you're watching Fox News, they'll feed you gold scam. If you watch MSNBC, they feed you a Subaru ad. Like, it's the same stuff. So social media is an addiction. I recommend social over social media, where you're thinking about getting together with friends on an Instagram Live. Can you do a distance backyard visit, right? Social media is a horrible thing. It's a horrible thing. If you want to type in my name into Google plus social media addiction or social media, I got a lot to say about it. Why? Again, I'm the preacher in the parish. That's why I know so much about it. Do you ever get bored, and what do you do? No, I never get bored. The reason I never get bored is because I'm friends with the eminent dead. The reason I never get bored is because I now read 150 books a year. And I have to for my podcasts. I've designed a system to make me do that. And when you immerse yourself in other consciousness, you're not just alive today, and you're not just alive in your own body, and you're not just alive in your own mind. I am a male. I am a female. I am a they. I am Japanese. I am Chinese. I am living in outer space. I am having thoughts that I've never had before all the time, every night before I go to bed. Can't get bored when you're like that. Let your mind go wherever it goes. How much do you love the feeling of happiness now that you've learned to let go, says Andrew. I mean, look, I'm not happy all the time. I know you may be surprised to hear that based on how I sound in this chat, but happiness is 50% genetic, it's 10% circumstantial, and it's 40% intentional activities. That model is not created by me. It's created by Sonia Lubomirsky, and it's published in a book called The How of Happiness. Let me put it another way. 50% is genetics. That's kind of like what you got, okay? What you got coming in. You got 2 kids, one's happier than the other. Am I right? Okay, it's genetic. 10% is circumstances. So like what's happening in the world? What's Trump tweeting about? What's the news? And 40% is your intentional activities. I just drew this for you now. So what you got is genetic. That's how much happiness is genetic. What's happening is 10%, and then what you do is 40%. What you do is where my entire talk just focused on. My entire talk just focused on what you do. And you might say, oh, Neil, you just forced on the 40%. What about this and this? Guys, you can't control these 2 things, okay? So, like, you can't control them. If you're starting with a low baseline, I'm still giving you stuff that gets you up to 40. If you're starting with, like, 50, I'm still giving you stuff, like, use the stuff I gave you. It's the only thing you can control, okay? The reason I mentioned this genetic part is because mental illness is a scourge. It's a big issue. So if you're feeling chronically depressed, I recommend talking to your doctor. Of course, I highly recommend that. And then try to use the stuff I have on top. Okay? Cool. Anthony said, Anthony says, yeah, I deleted all my social media on my phone, but I still keep it on the web. Yeah, that's cool. That's what I do too. So you can log in. Look, you know how long it takes to set up an Instagram account? 5 minutes. You know how long it takes to permanently delete an Instagram account? 20 minutes. There's been research on this. Like they'll let you set one up quickly, but to delete it, you gotta, first of all, you can't delete it from the app. You gotta go online. You have to recall your password. It's like they don't want you to leave. Don't forget they're trying to mine your brain. Love the shirt, Neil. I'm excited. This is great. There's way more questions. Do you have a list of books you've read, says Magda? Yes, I have a monthly book club. And so 100,000 people get my email every month. If you go to neil.blog, this is my website, and you just click the free newsletters button, every month I'll send you a list of 5 or 10 books I've read that month and I loved. Okay? It's as simple as that. And then you can get all my book recommendations for free every month. I've been doing that since 2016. Okay? Why is fiction better than nonfiction? Because you immerse yourself in another conscience. And when you're reading 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, you're learning stuff here, but you're not learning stuff here. Okay? So biographies may be the one exception for nonfiction. You're a high energy guy. Healthy diet, moderate exercise is part of your, yeah. You got to eat healthy, you got to exercise. How can my family get on board? Well, Donna, I'm going to pass it over to you to close things up. I think this is recorded, guys, so you can watch this and you can show it to your family. And all you do is just like grab a hook and like pull them into your room and then like tape their eyelids open and like duct tape them into the chair and say, watch Neil for an hour. I'm kidding about that, but you know what I'm saying. Convince them. This has been a pleasure. It's been a slice. It's been a lot of fun. I gave you all kinds of content information. I told you to take all kinds of screenshots, so you got it, and you can watch it again if you need it. Thank you guys to you. This is my pleasure. This is my honor. This is my privilege. I love doing this, and you gave energy to me today. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'll pass things back to Donna.
Neil, I think you give energy to us. We love the shirt. We love the personality. And, you gave us so much to think about. I was just looking at the chat room. It was just incredible. The takeaway, I love that little slide, be happy first, and that leads to great work and success. And yeah, we'll work on those tools, right? We've got the 2-minute morning with the 3 questions we should be thinking about every day. The weird hobby. I loved it. I love that Jackie is growing worms. It's unbelievable. I love the concept of Go Untouchable. Wow, you generated so much conversation on that. And someone called it a digital diet, and we can all go on a digital diet. So thank you so much, Neil, for spending time with us, working on these tools to be happier. And for all of the folks, if you need some help, don't forget to reach out. We got so many great resources with this great company of ours. Neil, you be safe, you be well, and I'm told by the chat room everyone wants you back. So let's keep in touch.
Let's keep in touch. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.